My sister slapped me at her wedding in front of 200 people and lost everything. The day of my sister's wedding was supposed to be one of the happiest moments of our family's life. We had spent months preparing, everything meticulously planned down to the last detail. The dress, the flowers, the venue, it was all supposed to go off without a hitch. But little did I know that the happiest day of her life would quickly turn into the worst day of mine. I've always had a complicated relationship with my sister, Claire. Growing up, we were never the best of friends. She was always the more popular, the one everyone loved. I was the quiet, introverted one, always in her shadow. But despite our differences, we had managed to maintain a civil relationship as adults. At least that's what I thought. The tension between us had been building for a while. It started with the wedding planning. I offered to help with everything, but Claire insisted that she had it all under control. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that she didn't really want me involved. Her fiancé, Tom, was always charming to me, but I knew there was something off about their relationship. They had only been together for a year, and yet everything seemed rushed, almost too perfect. On the day of the wedding, I was helping her get ready, holding her veil as she slipped into her gown. She smiled at me, and for a moment it felt like things might finally be okay between us. But then the words she spoke next sent everything spiraling into chaos. "You know, I didn't really want you to be my maid of honor," she said, her voice casual, like it was nothing. "But Mom insisted, so here we are." Her words stung more than I expected, and my smile faltered. I didn't know how to respond. For the rest of the preparations, I kept my distance, trying to brush off the sting. The ceremony was beautiful, and for a while, I allowed myself to believe that maybe, just maybe, we could fix our fractured relationship. But when we stood for the toast, everything changed. Claire had just taken her first sip of champagne when she suddenly turned to me, her face twisted with anger. "You think I don't know what you've been doing behind my back?" she hissed, her voice barely audible to the people around us. The crowd had fallen silent, sensing the tension building. I froze, heart racing. The words hung in the air thick with accusation. I blinked, not understanding at first. My sister Claire stood in front of me, her eyes blazing with fury, while the room went quiet, dead quiet, as if every single person in the hall had sensed that something was about to erupt. "What are you talking about?" I managed to choke out, my throat tight. I could feel my pulse in my ears, the blood rushing to my face. She didn't answer me immediately. Instead, she looked around, as if searching for the right words to unleash her anger. And then, just like that, the smile I had been working so hard to maintain vanished from her face, replaced with something darker. She leaned in close, her breath hot against my cheek. "You think I didn't notice?" she whispered, voice seething. "You've been talking to Tom, haven't you? All those late-night conversations. You think I don't know you've been trying to steal him from me?" The accusation hit me like a physical blow. My mind went blank. I opened my mouth to speak, but nothing came out. My stomach churned, and for a moment, I thought I might faint. Claire, what are you talking about? I haven't done anything like that," I said, my voice shaking with disbelief. I was taken aback by her sudden outburst. Everything about it felt so out of place, but her face only twisted further, as if she didn't believe a word I said. "You think I didn't see how you were looking at him? How you've been dropping hints about your feelings for him?" It was all so surreal, this viciousness coming from someone I thought I knew. I had never, not once, done anything like what she was accusing me of. Tom and I had always had a polite, distant relationship. He was kind, sure, but no more than that. This was coming out of nowhere. "I haven't spoken to Tom about anything like that. You've got it all wrong." I tried again, my voice more forceful now, desperate to defend myself. But she wasn't listening. Her eyes narrowed, and before I could react, she slapped me, hard. The sound of her hand against my cheek echoed through the hall. Gasps rang out from the guests. I staggered back, shocked, more from the fact that my sister had actually slapped me than the pain itself. I could taste the salt of tears welling in my eyes. The room was silent for what felt like an eternity, but Claire didn't seem to care. She stood there, staring at me with a mixture of fury and satisfaction. The whispers started almost immediately. People were murmuring, glancing between us. Some were looking at Claire in disbelief, others at me in pity. I was humiliated, but it was the moment that followed that completely shattered everything. The silence in the room was suffocating. The slap still stung, a burning sensation that lingered against my skin. I could feel my face flush with both the pain and the humiliation, my hands trembling at my sides. My heart was racing, and my thoughts were spinning, struggling to make sense of the chaos that had just unfolded. I looked around at the 200 guests who had witnessed the scene. their shocked faces staring back at me, unsure of how to react. I felt exposed, vulnerable, like I had just been stripped of my dignity in front of everyone I knew. Claire's eyes were now cold, calculating, her earlier fury replaced by a smug look of superiority. She hadn't even apologized. Instead, she turned her back on me, a flick of her hair the only acknowledgement that I existed at all. Her attention shifted to Tom, who was standing off to the side, awkwardly watching the entire exchange. I could see the confusion in his eyes, but he didn't say a word. I stood there, stunned. Part of me wanted to scream, to shout that I had done nothing wrong, but my throat had closed up. The words wouldn't come. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, I turned away from the crowd, my mind a whirlwind of emotions. I stumbled out of the reception hall and into the cool evening air. The sudden chill of the night didn't help ease the fire burning inside me. I had always known that Claire had a way of twisting things to fit her narrative, but this was something I hadn't been prepared for. And now, in front of everyone, she had made it clear that her jealousy and insecurities had consumed her entirely. I couldn't understand it. How had we gone from being sisters, close even, to this? She had slapped me in front of everyone, and for what? For nothing. I couldn't go back inside. Not after that. Not after the way she had humiliated me. I had no words left. No justification for a situation that was as unfair as it was cruel. But as I stood there, staring at the night sky, I heard the door open behind me. I turned around, and there was Tom, looking conflicted and hesitant. He took a few steps toward me, his eyes searching mine. "I'm so sorry," he said softly, his voice full of regret. This isn't how it was supposed to happen." Tom's voice broke through the fog of confusion and hurt that had settled in my mind. I couldn't believe it. Here he was, standing in front of me, apologizing for something that wasn't his fault. He looked genuinely sorry, his eyes filled with a mix of pity and concern. I didn't know what was going on. I don't know what she's thinking anymore, but you didn't deserve that. I opened my mouth to say something, but no words came. How could I explain the depth of the betrayal I felt? How could I articulate the shock that Claire, my own sister, had done this to me? Tom had always been kind to me, never anything more than polite. And now, standing there before me, he was apologizing for something he wasn't even part of. But I couldn't help it. My emotions were raw, and the last thing I wanted was for him to feel responsible. "I didn't do anything," I finally managed to say, my voice trembling. "I never tried to take you away from her. I don't even know where this came from." Tom looked frustrated now, his hands rubbing his face. "I know. She's been acting so differently. I don't know what's going on with her, but she's never been like this before. You know that, right?" I nodded slowly. I had known Claire to be competitive and possessive at times, but this was a new low. I never thought she would go this far, at least not in public. The wedding, her supposed happiest day, had become a battleground between us, a place for old grievances and insecurities to surface. There was a moment of uncomfortable silence between us. Tom seemed torn, unsure of what to say next. But it wasn't him I was angry with. It was Claire. I turned my gaze to the ground, trying to compose myself. My sister had crossed a line that I wasn't sure could ever be uncrossed. And now, the damage was done. The wedding had become a spectacle where my sister had ruined not just her day, but any hope of reconciliation between us. "I don't know what to do anymore," I said softly, my voice breaking. "I don't think I can go back in there." Tom took a step closer, reaching out to me. "Look, maybe we can figure this out, okay? She's not in her right mind right now, and I know she's been under pressure, but this wasn't fair to you." I met his gaze, the weight of the moment sinking in. I had come to the wedding hoping to support her, to help her through what should have been the happiest day of her life. But now, I had nothing left to give. "I don't think I can fix this," I whispered, looking away from him. Tom stood there, watching me with a look of deep concern, but I couldn't help feeling a growing distance between us. I appreciated his kindness, but nothing could change the reality of what had just happened. My sister had humiliated me, and no apology or regret could undo the damage she had caused. The world I had known, my family, my place in it, felt like it had shattered in an instant. "I don't know what you expect me to do," I said, my voice quiet and resigned. "I want to help. I want to fix this. But I can't pretend it's just going to go away." Tom took a deep breath, looking down for a moment, as if searching for words that would make everything right again. But there were no easy words, no quick fixes. He knew that. I knew that. "I'm sorry," he repeated, his voice thick with regret. "I don't know how to fix this either, but I do know that whatever happens between you and Claire, I don't want you to feel like this was all your fault. You didn't deserve any of it." His words almost made me want to believe that things could somehow go back to normal, but I knew better. My sister's actions weren't just some temporary lapse in judgment. They were a reflection of everything I had feared about our relationship. She had let her jealousy and insecurity blind her, and in the process, she had destroyed everything. For a long moment, I just stood there, staring at the ground, feeling the weight of everything that had happened. There was nothing left for me at that wedding. I couldn't go back inside and pretend like everything was fine. Finally, I turned to Tom, shaking my head slowly. "I'm leaving," I said quietly, my throat tight. "I don't think I can stay here any longer, not after everything that's happened." Tom nodded, his expression filled with understanding. "I get it. You should go. I'll handle things inside." As I walked away, the sound of the wedding party continued to drift through the open doors, but it felt distant, like it belonged to another world, a world where my sister and I were still close, a world where I didn't feel like the enemy. I left the wedding that night, unsure of where I was going or what came next. But one thing was clear. I couldn't go back to the way things were. Not after what Claire had done. She had lost everything. The sister she once had, the trust she'd destroyed, and, in some ways, even her own happiness. As for me, I was learning to let go, to move forward. The past could stay in the past, but I was taking control of my future, without her.